What's going on? It's me, Shamar Lebreton, back again with you for another video. Today, this is one that I know I said I was supposed to do for a while. I know the last video helped a lot of people, and so I wanted to do a part two, basically diving deeper into the scary world of Premiere Pro. I know the first part we kind of went over the basics, so today I'm going to teach you guys just a little bit more, just to advance the videos that you're already doing. Hopefully you've been training a lot and you've been practicing and using that first video that I made to help you into the world of editing. But today I'm going to advance you even more, just so that you could be on the top of the game, so that when it comes to YouTube you already know what to do. But before we dive into the video, you know how we do this every time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps out tremendously. Leave a comment because feedback is really important. Let me know how I did. Anything else that I'm missing. Yeah, let's jump into the laptop and get you guys started. All right, guys, we are in Premiere Pro. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but if you don't, check back part one. Just go watch that because that was a great video, by the way. So pretty much I have imported a video that I did on this channel before, which is the TikTok video that you should also watch. And we also have a sound effect because today we are going over sound effects. For this, I think Premiere Pro updated since the last time I did a video, so I'm kind of gonna like briefly go over where we're at. If you click this button on the top right, this is where the workspaces are from before. So you have editing, assembly, color, effects, audio, everything. And they now added captions and graphics. So for the TikTok people, if you want to add captions to your videos, you can. But enough of that. We're just gonna stick to editing. Let's stick to editing workspace. So I always click to source just to see what I'm working with. Obviously this video is already edited, so I already know what it's about. Now for sound effects is pretty simple. Now as you can see on the Premiere Pro timeline, once you drag it onto the timeline, you have, it's a blue bar originally. You can change the color if you want to. I'll show you that part in a minute. Essentially, you're gonna have two sections. You're gonna say V1 and A1. Now, when it comes to editing, there's different layers. If you want to add text, which we did in part one, you add it on another layer, so that would be on V2. You can add adjustment layers for coloring, which can also go on V2 or V3, depending on how many stuff you have. Same way with video, going upwards in layers is the same thing in audio, going down in layers. So you have A1, A2, A3, right? A1 is usually the recording that you just did. So whatever recording you have, if it comes with audio, probably gonna link together, right? So every time you click it, you see how both V1 and A1 is clicked together. That's because it's linked, right? Now with sound effects, they're not going to be part of the video. It's something that you added on. So you never want to add it on to the same layer that you have as your talking audio that you recorded from your camera. For example, if you put it on the same layer, you just deleted a portion of your talking piece. So now instead of you talking TikToks or even posting on TikTok, let me try to speed it up. Hold on. Instead of you talking, it's going to cut your audio and play that sound effect, right? So that's not what you want to do. Always avoid the layer that you're talking. For this sound effect, the same way we click and drag on the timeline for the video, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to drag it to the second layer now, right? Drag it anywhere that's empty. Sound effects. This sound effect in particular is a glitch sound effect, so it has different glitches on each. And what I noticed too, most times when I have sound effects, they're pretty loud. So in order to lower the volume, I'm just gonna trim this real fast. In order to lower the volume, I'm gonna click it and I'm gonna go to the left side, effects controls, and where it says level is just another word for volume in Premiere Pro. Again, I always unclick the keyframe. Negative from 0 is going lower. Positive from 0, which is to the right, means it's getting louder. So I'm gonna say like -7. And a lot of times I usually play around with sound effects in terms of volume, because I also add music. But for this sake of tutorial, we're not gonna add music. We're just gonna like play it by ear and see where we're at. So that was still a little loud. So now with this sound effect, pretty much any sound effect, if you feel like it's too loud, you can always lower it. If you feel like it's too low, you can always raise the volume. But sound effects are pretty simple. I'll teach you guys in another part on how to use multiple sound effects to attract your video even more, because sound effects do play a major part in your video. However, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just teaching you guys how to add sound effects onto your video, whether that be on the timeline or just finding them in general. Again, with sound effects, just use YouTube for now, unless you're willing to pay for Epidemic Sound and Artlist right now. Then you can, and they have free sound effects that you can use. But for people like me who, you know, when they first started, they really didn't have any money and they spent all of it on the camera and mic, get your sound effects on YouTube, search them up. I promise you YouTube has them. All right, moving on. I think one of the biggest things for a lot of people is keyframing, scaling and positioning, which is, you know, I'm not gonna say it's one of the tough. It's not tough at all. It's pretty easy. However, it's what most YouTubers and most people in video editing use. Let's say, for example, you want this part of the scene. This is just me, but this could be your video. I mean, this will be your video. So you want this part to zoom in as you're saying something. Let's say you're saying something funny, or whatever the case, right? But you just want it to zoom in. So what you're gonna do is click the video. For the sake of the tutorial, I just trimmed it to where it's only affecting this part. You can do the same, or you could have it to where you just leave it as one. I just prefer this method because it's a little easier. I usually start at the beginning, and the same way when I'm lowering the volume on something and I unclick this little stopwatch, we're gonna click it this time because that's keyframing. Keyframing is basically setting up a point, like a start to end, so that you tell Premiere Pro, okay, at the start of this, I want this to be at 0, and by the end where we get to a point in the video, I want this to be whatever it is. So let's say, for example, I set a point at 0, and by 5 seconds I want this to zoom 100%. Premiere Pro will do its magic in video editing, and it'll drag from 0 to 100% within 5 seconds. That's essentially what keyframing is. You're basically telling Premiere Pro what to do in that amount of time. We're gonna click this stopwatch, right? So from the beginning of the clip, it's normal, it looks straight, there's no zoom going on, right? So I essentially told Premiere Pro at the start of this video, keep it at 0, right? So now we're gonna move the bar, let's say 1 second, right? This is 1 full second. So by 1 full second, this video should now, and this is scale. Scale is basically a zoom. That's another word for zoom. But by a second long, the video should now be from 100% to 130%, right? So now you see me a little closer. So now look what happens as this is the start of the video, remember, but let's watch it in play and see how it zooms up to that 1 second. Audio at the same time. Poof. So I know that was like a little quick. We could make it longer by moving this diamond piece, right? So now if you notice, once it got to the second diamond, it got to the point that I wanted it to go, which is 130 instead of 100. So that's essentially how keyframing works. Now you can use keyframing for almost anything in terms of effects controls. So that'd be position. Position is, you know, essentially like where the video is at. So you can move it up and down. You essentially don't want these black bars, because that's once you export it, it's literally going to come out like this. The video is just going to come off as that square. You just don't want that. So we're going to reverse that. But that's position. Scale is basically zoom. Like I said, rotation speaks for itself. You're just rotating the video. Anchor point is I don't know if you guys can tell by my big nose. There is a circle with a cross inside of it. That is the anchor point. It's pretty much telling Premiere Pro what is the center of this video, or where you want that point to be. So I'll show you guys really fast. Pretty much this anchor, let's say I want it to go here instead. So now when I rotate, it's going to rotate from that anchor point instead of rotating from the center. Usually I don't mess with it, but it was just there to show you guys. Anti-flicker filter, I don't use at all. I've never used it once in my life, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys what it is. I might try it though. And opacity is pretty much seeing the video. So is it visible or not? So the lower it goes, you just can't see the video. 0%, it's gone. 100%, it's there. Blend mode, people use a lot. I do as well, but it just really depends on what you're using it for. So we're not going to touch that right now for the sake of this video just being a little too long, but I'll touch back on that. So that's keyframing, right? So the same way I did it for scale, I can do it also for position. So position, let's say I want it to be down here, but in the beginning I want it to go normally. So I think the normal rate is 540 for videos out of 1080, right? So let's watch it again. So now you're noticing that it's also scaling or zooming up in 1 second, but it's also pushing down in 1 second. So that's another way of, you know, adding just a little flair to your videos, just making it move a little bit without, you know, going into the internet and trying to find transitions or downloading effects. This is like the simplest effect that you can create on your own It takes about 2 seconds. It literally can change the dynamic of a video. So I use it a lot. I definitely think you should try it too. Finally, we're going to talk about transitions. So transitions is you know, a simple term of saying how to get from one point to the next point with like a little effect going through it, right? So whether that be like a closed door, you know, a whoosh, a wipe, going from black to white. You'll see it in a lot of movies and different things, but pretty much Premiere Pro has a great tool. It already comes with video transitions, so you don't necessarily have to go buy anything. It's there for you to use. How I got here, pretty much this bottom left, when you're in the editing workspace, it's going to be at the bottom. So I just scrolled with my trackpad. You're just gonna scroll to the right and poof, you're gonna pop to effects. It's gonna have this folder called video transitions. Click down and it has all these different folders of transitions to use. So I have dissolve. Dissolve is it's like I use it about 80% of the time. We're gonna drag it. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, sorry, when it comes to transitions, you need two videos, right? So whether that be one video that you cut in the middle so it gives you two parts, or it could just be two different clips that you have recorded and you just try to put it together and you want to transition into another thing. When it comes to transitions, you as soon as you have that cut or you have a part that is two divided, you're gonna drag it to the middle and just let go. Right now you have this transition where record audio at the same time. That was a little weird, but that's just one of the transitions. There's so many different ones, so you don't have to have like this light flare one. Now essentially, if you want this transition to go quick, the same thing you would do in a regular clip, you're just gonna go to the edge of that transition and you're gonna drag it. And the cool thing about that too is you don't have to do it on both sides. It'll drag it for you. So that if you want the transition to go quicker, you drag it in closer. If you want it to stretch out and be longer, you're gonna drag it out longer. So instead of that long transition, now it's gonna be shorter. Poof. So you notice how it got shorter. Now this works well if you're adding a transition with also a sound effect, because it makes the video even better. See what I mean? Sound effects and transitions and keyframing will help tremendously. It'll boost your video up in terms of movement, so you're not still and you're not just talking to a camera for like 20 minutes, but instead it gives you a different dynamic range. I said dynamic range, but it gives a different dynamic to your video. So definitely use those. All right, guys, that was the end of the video. Of course, I know there's so much more that goes into Premiere Pro, and obviously a third part will be coming. So don't worry. Let me know down in the comments the feedback. What you guys miss? If you need me to explain something further, I absolutely can. But again, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. And yeah, I'll see you guys in part 3. So have fun, practice. Practice makes perfect. Well, not perfect, but practice makes better. So, all right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.